Cake? No need for it. Go ahead and toss it out. That's what my husband said on my birthday. And had the audacity to go on a trip with his mistress. I had hoped this would be our last chance. But it seems I was mistaken. I really don't think I can continue living with you anymore. Understood. In that case, I'll do as you said. Throw out the cake. And I'll throw out something else that's important to you as well. And then, prepare yourself. Because I'm going to throw out the thing that is most unnecessary to me. My name is Sarah. I'm a 28-year-old office worker. My husband Bob also works in an office, although it's a different company. We don't have any children. Bob and I met a year ago. It was at a party held by a senior colleague from work. I'm rather plain, a bit overweight, introverted, and gloomy. And my hobby is reading comic books. An indoor type of person. So I was invited to the party only to make up the numbers. Also, I knew this, so I didn't join the conversation much and was just drinking my beverage at the edge of the table. Still, out of all the participants there, Bob, who was the most handsome, outgoing, and good at conversing, for some reason, actively started talking to me. Bob enjoys traveling and collecting vintage vinyl records, and he told me stories about his travels and old music, which were really interesting. When it was time to go home, he asked for my contact details, and though I was surprised, we exchanged our contact information on Facebook, and the very next day, he messaged me, "I'd like to meet up. Just the two of us next time." I was so surprised that at first, I wondered if this was some kind of punishment game, or if he was going to try to sell me something. But I was happy, so I agreed, and we had a meal together on a later date. After that, he frequently asked me out, and after a few dates, he confessed his feelings for me. I had never had a boyfriend in my life before, so I was overjoyed at my first ever confession and accepted it. And then, about 3 months after we started dating, he proposed, and we got married. I thought it was like a dream that someone as ordinary and boring as me could marry such a wonderful person, and I believed that a happy life was about to start. But as soon as we got married, Bob's attitude completely changed. When we were dating, he was very kind, but once we got married, he started pushing all the household chores on me and would just laze around watching TV or listening to records in his room when he got back from work. I don't know if it's because the volume of the records is loud, but when I call out, "Dinner's ready," he doesn't seem to hear me, and often doesn't come right away, which irritates me. On his days off, he leaves me alone and goes out to play, saying he has plans with friends or colleagues from work. When I say, "Please help me with the household chores a little," he replies, "I'm working, you know." When I tell him I'm working too, "I'd appreciate it if you could at least help with the household chores on your days off," he says, "I'm busy even on my days off because I have to hang out with my friends, unlike you, who don't have many friends because you're so gloomy." Ain't that last remark just awful? Sure, I'm not exactly Miss Social Butterfly due to my personality. I get it, but to say such things to my face? That's just plain rude, ain't it? That was what I thought, but I didn't want to start a fight, so I kept it to myself. Gradually, Bob started nitpicking about the way I cook and clean, and before long, he started hurling insults like, "You should be grateful that a great guy like me even bothered to marry a plain and overweight woman like you." I thought a real gentleman wouldn't say such things to his wife and would also help with housework. In fact, if he's got issues with the way I clean, I wish he'd at least clean his own room. The only thing he takes care of is his record collection. Also, I love reading comic books, and I've collected quite a few over the years. But one day, I found that all the comic books I had in my room had vanished. I asked Bob, suspecting the worst, and he said, "Oh, those? They were in the way, so I threw them out." I can't believe it. Those were important to me. Some of them were even out of print, hard to get. I protested, but he just said, "Well, your comic books were starting to overflow from your room into the living room. Besides, you should outgrow this childish hobby of reading comic books." How dare he criticize my hobbies? Not to mention, throwing away my stuff without even asking me? Unforgivable. If he's going to be this awful and verbally abusive, why did he even marry me? Probably Bob just wanted a free housekeeper, I guess. And when he met me at a party and saw that I was quiet and submissive, He must have thought I was an easy target. Realizing this, I've spent many nights crying in bed. It's manageable now. But if we were to have kids, I shudder to think what the future might hold. One day, a friend told me she saw Bob walking arm in arm with a woman who wasn't me in the hotel district. Just yesterday, he said he was going out to meet a friend. I was under the impression that this friend was a man. What does it mean he was meeting a woman? Could he be cheating? With these suspicions, I hired a private investigator. As expected, it turned out that Bob was cheating on me. The other woman was a junior colleague from his office, a woman named Susan. He had been cheating on me since we got married. Whenever he said he was going out to meet friends or colleagues, it was mostly dates with Susan. How dare he dump all the housework on me and then play around? I'm going to divorce him, I thought, and even consulted a lawyer. But even so, I couldn't completely hate Bob, who allowed even a plain and boring woman like me to dream a little about marriage. So I decided to make one last bet. This coming Saturday is my birthday. If Bob would celebrate the day with me, I thought I would hold off on the divorce. At dinner, I said to Bob, "Bob, do you remember what's coming up this Saturday?" "Huh? Saturday? Is there something special going on?" I was a little shocked to realize that he had completely forgotten. At this point, my hopes were dashed again, but I continued the conversation. "It's my birthday." "Oh, yeah, now that you mention it. Well, it falls on a day off this year, so I was thinking of getting a cake and having it together." "Ah, you promise, right?" "Absolutely do not make any other plans, okay?" With a somewhat praying feeling, Sarah said this to Bob, who seemed reluctant. And then it was the Friday before her birthday. During dinner, Bob said, "I have a business trip tomorrow." "What? Tomorrow is my birthday, and we promised to eat cake together. I've already made a reservation." When I said that, he said, "Well, it's work. I can't help it. Show some understanding for your husband's work. Anyway, I'm going on a business trip tomorrow. It's for 2 days and 1 night, so I'll be back on Sunday evening. Please pack for me." "Well, what about the cake I reserved?" When I asked, "Just throw it away if you don't need it." He casually said, "What is that?" Despite it being my special birthday and going through the trouble of reserving a cake, he so nonchalantly said to throw it away. Is it really a business trip? Feeling suspicious, I checked his smartphone while Bob was in the shower. There, I found his exchanges with his mistress. "Shall we go somewhere on a trip this Saturday for 2 days and 1 night?" "Sounds good. I want to go camping. How about it?" "Then I'll make a reservation at a lodge." "Are you sure your wife hasn't found out? Are you okay?" "I'm okay. She's oblivious. Actually, this Saturday is Sarah's birthday. She said let's celebrate together, but it's a hassle. I don't want her to start demanding gifts and stuff, so I thought I'd go on a trip with you." "Wow, that's terrible. Your wife must be so sad." I almost cried from the shock, but somehow managed to hold back and took a screenshot of their conversation on my smartphone. I didn't particularly want gifts or anything. If you had simply agreed to eat cake with me, I would have still had a glimmer of belief that you might care about me a bit. Seeing the messages between you and your mistress shattered that last bit of hope. Enough. I'm done with it. Then, on my birthday, Bob so audaciously demanding at the front door, "Well, I'm heading out. While I'm on a business trip, clean my room for me." "Okay. By the way, I'm going to pick up the cake we reserved today. You still want me to throw away your share of the cake, right?" "You're nagging. I said it's fine." "Understood. I'll clean your room, and I'll throw away anything that I think you don't need anymore. That's okay with you, right?" "Yeah, it's fine. I'm heading out now." With that, Bob left for what he claimed to be a business trip, but was in reality a trip with his mistress. Remember when I asked, "Is it okay if I throw away anything I think you don't need?" And you said, "Yeah, it's fine"? I recorded our conversation on a voice recorder, so there's no taking it back now. Well, once inside Bob's room, I vacuumed and wiped the windows. Next, I disposed of the unwanted items, old clothes, piles of stationery, and the record collection that Bob had been amassing. It took quite a bit of money and effort to collect those records, I recall. I packed up all these items and put them in the storeroom. Then I placed the filled-out divorce papers on the living room table and left the house. Now, it's my birthday after all. I'm going to enjoy it just as I like. First, I went to pick up the reserved cake. After that, I booked a room in a luxury hotel I had always wanted to visit and ate the cake in my hotel room. Bob said, "Throw it away." But I couldn't bring myself to waste food, so I ate both portions. It was delicious, but I might gain weight again, so I really need to start dieting. I then went shopping in the nearby stores and took a stroll by the sea close by. I had spent my days off doing housework until now, so this kind of leisure day was a first in a long time. Just as I was thinking about this, I received a call from Bob on Sunday night. Honestly, I didn't want to answer, but I had no choice. "Hello? Hey, where the heck are you? I got back from my business trip and you're not home, and there's no dinner ready." How annoying. He's ruining the relaxing ambiance of my luxury hotel stay. Well, I'm staying in a hotel for a bit, for reasons. There's a lovely sea nearby. Would you like me to send you a picture? What are you talking about? I don't care about that. Why are you in a hotel? Where's my dinner? Also, I found divorce papers. What's going on? What's going on? Well, if there are divorce papers, you should know what to do, right? Are you planning to make a paper airplane with it? You can't be that stupid. Just sign your name on it and take it to the city hall. So you want a divorce? That's right. Honestly, I'm sick and tired of it. Bob just leaves me alone to play on his day off, and he never helps me with the household chores. From the very beginning, the first thing he does when he calls me is get mad because I haven't prepared dinner. I thought it was unbelievable. What's up with that? And when I looked in the room, my collection of records was gone. What happened? Oh, I threw away the records. As I say that, Bob's voice raises even higher. You threw them away? Are you kidding me? Why? You knew I cherished those. But Bob, you told me before your business trip that I could throw away anything I deemed unnecessary. You said it was okay, so I did. I even have our conversation recorded. Want to listen? And besides, you also threw away my beloved comics, didn't you? Anyway, don't just drop divorce papers on me and leave. I get it. Then let's meet and talk for once. And so a few days later, honestly, I didn't want to see Bob anymore. But I had no choice but to have a discussion at the lawyer's office. Bob, whom I hadn't seen in several days, was in shabby clothes and had unkempt hair. I was the one who used to iron his clothes. I think the conditioner was about to run out. Maybe that's why his hair was so messy. But he should be able to buy conditioner by himself, I think. Seeing Bob in such a sloppy state, I wonder why I ever liked such a person. I'm glad. I had worried about how I would feel if I no longer wanted to divorce after seeing Bob again. But it seems that was needless worry. And then the discussion began. I'll say this first. I haven't changed my mind about wanting to divorce. This is the amount I want as alimony. Seeing the amount I suggested, Bob screamed, $30 million? Sarah, that's way too much. Just because I didn't help with the housework? Just because he didn't help with the housework? What is this man talking about? That's not all. You've also constantly insulted me, calling me fat and plain. And worst of all, this. Saying that, I pulled out evidence of infidelity that I had researched at the detective agency. I also show him the screenshot of our smartphone conversation at that time. You've been cheating since we got married, even on my birthday, lying about a business trip to go on a vacation with your mistress. Considering all this, $30 million is still not enough. So, Sarah, did you know about the affair? Looking at the photos, Bob turns pale. Yes. Did you think I didn't notice because I'm dense? Don't make fun of me. And you threw away my beloved comics, remember? But that's because you threw away my records. Oh, the records? I lied about throwing them away. Surprised Bob, I explain. Actually, I thought about throwing them away, but I felt it would be too cruel, and I didn't want to be held responsible for throwing them away, so I didn't. The records are stored in the back of the storeroom. What? Seeing Bob's relieved face, I say, "Why are you looking so relieved?" "The fact that you threw away my comics hasn't changed, so you should compensate for that. And about the cake, you said throw it away?" But I couldn't disrespect food, so I ate both portions. "So you didn't throw away anything?" When Bob sought confirmation, I told him with a chuckle, "There's no need for that. I declared to you, I discard anything I don't need. And I've done just that. Well, actually, I'm about to do it." "Huh?" Bob seemed unable to comprehend. With a deeper smile, I told him, "You. Yes, you. You're the thing I need the least. I'm going to get rid of you completely. Once you understand that, please divorce. There's no way the alimony will be less than this amount. If you argue, it'll be higher." When I said this, Bob pleaded, "I'm sorry. I won't cheat anymore, and I'll help with the housework because you're here." "Because I'm here? What? So you can go on dates with your mistress without any worry, dumping the chores on me during your days off?" "No, that's not it. Bob babbled. "No matter what you say, I intend a divorce. I don't like holding on to trash because I'm a neat freak," I retorted. After I said that, Bob fell apart, stammering, "I'm trash?" His expression at that moment was priceless. Afterwards, we divorced. Since the divorce, all communication has been through our lawyer, so I haven't seen Bob since. However, according to stories my lawyer shared, Bob, having left all the housework to me, had no domestic skills. He briefly cohabited with Susan, but apparently she too couldn't do housework. Their place quickly became a mess. Their diet was all over the place. Because they were constantly eating out, Bob started gaining weight, and his once handsome face now looks quite regrettable. It seems Susan broke up with Bob and moved on to another job. Furthermore, it became gossip at work that Bob and Susan were having an affair, causing him discomfort. But he can't quit because the alimony I requested is substantial. I've switched jobs and moved, and now I'm enjoying living alone. I'm not run ragged by housework like before. No one gives me a hard time, and I'm happy. Plus, maybe because I'm not stressed anymore, my face is brighter, and I've been told I look a little thinner. If I continue to lose weight, even though I don't plan to see him again, I might make Bob regret even more.
How much longer do you have? Feelings for me have cooled. How could he say something like that to his wife? I was more than angry and shocked. I was disgusted. What? You're the one who doesn't have long to live. What? Hi, my name is Sarah. I believe that aging gracefully is a timeless theme for both men and women. I am now 60 years old, but I still try to dress younger. It's not for my husband. When I look in the mirror and see that my hair, makeup, and clothes look nice, I get excited. People are surprised when I tell them I'm 60, and I'm relieved when they tell me I don't look it. My husband and I have drifted apart, and I'm left wondering why I married someone like him. I work hard in a comic book editor's editorial department. My husband is against me working, despite the fact that I don't make much money. When I look at my husband, who says with a nonchalant expression that men hunt and women do housework, I can only sigh. I'm wondering if we've gone back to the Middle Ages, or maybe even the Stone Age since he calls it hunting. I'd like to tell him that even in the animal kingdom, the lioness hunts. I enjoy advising young aspiring cartoonists with big dreams and working with them to create appealing characters and interesting stories. 60-somethings today are young. I believe the days of just relaxing at home after the age of 60 are over. My husband, on the other hand, was unique. How long will you keep working? You're 60 now. Women over 60 are useless. I was irritated, but my husband would never back down, so I was the one who did. Your opinions are so outdated, I said. I will not forgive you if you neglect your housework because of your job. Has my husband, who believes that housework is solely the responsibility of wives, not seen the news? He looks down on women, but also has a weakness for beautiful young women, which is the worst pattern in some ways. I finished college and got this job. I dreamt of becoming a cartoonist since high school, but I gave up because I'm not good at drawing. So I decided I wanted to help people who were pursuing their dreams. I was so busy with work that I forgot I had turned 40. My relatives approached me about an arranged marriage proposal, and I fantasized about being married. Marriage is an important event in life and should never be rushed. However, I was so impatient, and I thought that I would be single for the rest of my life if I missed this opportunity. I agreed to the matchmaking proposal and married my current husband, who was 41 years old. My husband was hiding his fangs and acting like a gentleman at the time, so I couldn't see his true nature. We didn't have children because we were both over 40, and I had no intention of quitting my job. My parents are in their 80s, but unlike my husband, they seem to be aware of the times and never asked me to have their grandchildren. Many women want to have children but are unable to do so. Why don't you have children yet? They would never say something like that. My parents know that's hurtful. Recently, my husband has been looking at his phone and sneaking around a lot. I thought maybe he was cheating on me, but the fact that I didn't feel angry shows that my feelings for him have completely faded. My mother-in-law, who lives nearby, paid us a visit one day. My father-in-law died 3 years ago, and my mother-in-law now lives alone. She is 85 years old, but she has always been stubborn, and my husband can't get enough of her. It's not because he respects her so much, but because she is wealthy. She has about $200,000 in savings. Because I'm an only child, I'll get her property. I hope she dies soon. Stingy woman. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. There are some things you cannot say. If I don't be nice to her now, even if it is a lie, it'll be bad for me if she leaves all the money to an institution or something else. My mother-in-law walked in from the next room at that exact moment. I'm sorry for being so stingy. Oh, Mom. With an ogre-like expression on his face, my husband turned pale and took it out on me. Why didn't you tell me she was here first, you idiot? Stop talking. Don't yell at her all the time. You're annoying the neighbors. My husband turned his head down without saying anything because there was no excuse. How long have you and Kevin not been getting along? My mother-in-law asked while he was running away to take a bath. When did you and your husband stop getting along? It doesn't feel like a bad cold, but rather like a serious illness. You can tell? I said with an awkward smile. Sarah, if you can't take it anymore, you can get a divorce. Having grudges and having so much hatred is no way to live. The agony of having to be with someone you don't want to be with is unbearable. It must be difficult to live with people you dislike. You don't have to be scared of me. My mother-in-law's generosity warmed my heart. She was so knowledgeable and well-educated that it was difficult to believe they were blood relatives. My husband had to have traveled in time from the Stone Age. He took a physical examination at work again this year, but he seems to have failed. I'm curious if his inactivity, combined with his age, has taken its toll on him. He always comes home late, many times drunk. My husband claims to have had a drink with his colleagues at a bar, but I know he goes to a strip club. It's a wife's intuition. Kevin was retested, and I received a call from the hospital one day. Before I tell you in person, there is something I'd like to discuss with your family. It sounded like a scene from a TV show, and I felt a flutter in my chest. I was surprised to hear what the doctor said at the hospital. Only 6 months to live? When my husband was told he only had 6 months to live, I was a whirlwind of emotions. I was surprised that I wasn't shocked, but almost relieved. I felt guilty for my lack of empathy. I asked myself if a normal wife would be able to hide her disbelief, learning her husband only had 6 months left. It must be a mistake. You need to be prepared. Whether or not you tell him is up to you. His character, you know him best. What exactly do you mean by character? It is risky to tell him immediately if he has a negative personality. It may be better to tell him if he has a positive, strong personality. He will understandably become desperate if he learns he only has 6 months to live. He doesn't know, but he should refrain from going to strip clubs and drinking alcohol. I returned home with a gloomy feeling, but I decided that I should still tell him. I told my husband when he got home. "Honey, I have something important to tell you." "What is it? Unlike you, I'm busy." "I'm also very busy." "Aren't you just keeping yourself busy? Quit your job if you don't like being busy." "A man making his wife work is not a good look. It makes me look like I don't earn enough money." I had no idea what he was talking about and was intimidated by his old-fashioned opinion. He doesn't seem to realize that most families nowadays have 2 incomes and that full-time housewives are rare. "Today I went to the hospital." "What about the hospital?" "I want you to brace yourself." "Hurry up, I'm busy." I was so enraged that I said it out loud. "The doctor told me you only had 6 months to live." My husband kept a straight face for a few seconds before laughing. I rushed to cover my mouth with my hand. "Only 6 months to live?" "Yes," I said, attempting to calm myself. "Don't panic. Don't be arrogant." I could tell he was shocked because he was speaking strangely. "Well, I guess I deserved it. Maybe I'm too rough on my body." I was surprised that he knew his actions caused this. "So you better cut back on your drinking from now on." "Shut up. Drinking is part of the job. Women have a bad habit of thinking it's just for fun because we've had a drink. I'm going to continue drinking." "You shouldn't. Come home right after work." My husband smiled big. "Wait, you're not going to tell me that you want more time together because I only have 6 months to live, are you?" I would never dream of it, but I was forced to play the good wife. "Of course I do. I'd like to spend more time with you." "Don't be a fool. I don't have that much time." "Honey." I was about to say something significant when he cut me off. "All right, this conversation is over. That's all there is to it. Time is money, and I'm squandering it with you." How could he say something so hurtful without hesitation? But I didn't say anything else. I went into my husband's study to check on him, concerned that he might be depressed. I could hear him talking to someone else. "My wife was told at the hospital today that she only has 6 months to live. I didn't ask her what it was, but 6 months. It had to be some sort of terminal cancer." I didn't understand what my husband was saying at first. "6 months, he said. "My mother is 85 years old and has life insurance, and she'll be gone soon. Amy, come live with me after she dies. I'd like to restart my life." I was taken aback. My husband has made a terrible mistake. But my rage reached a boiling point when I overheard his conversation with Amy. I just couldn't bring myself to say the truth. He was messing with me. I can't stand hearing him talk about his mother like that. I care about her. You'll see things your own way your whole life, even if it is only 6 months. My husband didn't come home late. He didn't come home at all after I told him about his life expectancy. Sometimes he lies and says he's on a business trip. I'm shocked. He wears flashy clothes, buys expensive watches, and seems to spend tons of money every day. He also buys a lot of gifts. My husband doesn't have much money. Is he counting on the money for my insurance after I die? He is being less than human. It's been 3 months since I was told he only had a few months to live. "Is there something wrong with your body?" I asked my pale husband. "Recently, I've been feeling tired and sluggish. Just going up the stairs at the station makes me out of breath." "I think you should drink less." "Shut up. I'm telling you, drinking is a necessary part of my job. Go to hell if all you have to say is depressing things." I was irritated, but I chose not to argue. "You're such a nag. You and that old hag can go to hell." My mother-in-law was standing directly behind my husband. "You mean me, the old hag?" she said. "Oh, you scared me. Are you talking about me?" "I've never referred to you as an old hag. I was talking about my boss." "Oh, really?" My mother-in-law looked at him suspiciously, so he lowered his head. My husband left without saying anything. 4 months have passed since he was told he only had a few months to live. My husband began coughing more often, missing work more frequently, and his blood pressure was low, when he usually had high blood pressure. His low blood pressure made him dizzy, and he almost fell down a flight of stairs. He still continued to travel for business. He spends his last day with his mistress, not his wife. He only has a few months to live, and he's busy cheating on his wife. He claims that his hands and feet are cold, and that he's aching all over, even on hot days. If you're not feeling well, you should probably refuse to go on business trips. Mind your own business. I'm not the only one looking forward to the business trip. They need me there. I can call the company and ask your boss to excuse you from the business trip. As expected, my husband was furious and yelled at me. Try it. I'm not going to let you get away with it. I made an effort not to laugh. I felt sorry for my husband, who deserved it, but I was unsure whether I should tell my mother-in-law the truth. She has always been very kind to me since the wedding. Then I had an unexpected visitor. I had never seen a young woman like her before. What is your name? Hey, I'm Amy. It's nice to meet you. I was taken aback by her bold visit to my home. I'll just be direct. Please let Kevin leave. What exactly do you mean by let him leave? I was shocked. Even I can see that Amy is incredibly beautiful and dainty with a great fashion sense. I couldn't understand why such a beautiful woman was dating my husband. He is not wealthy, so she's not with him for money. But it can't possibly be pure love, can it? It's gotta be a scam. Kevin is in pain. I think it's stress. Please divorce him. I laughed at her audacity. This is insane to say things like that openly to his wife. She, on the other hand, was unfazed. You only have one life. It's foolish to be tied down by marriage these days. I realized something. I ended the conversation with a smile because I knew if I talked to her anymore, I might lose my temper and put my hands on her. I'm not worried about that. I'm not sure if he'll go to heaven or hell because I'm not the devil. She gave me a brief look before smiling brightly. The devil, huh? You're funny, ma'am. I'm not trying to be funny. How old are you? 29. I couldn't believe it. 29? She's more than 30 years younger than me. What do you do for a living? He came to see me at work. He's very nice. Why would you date him? Kevin is tough and competent. Stop. I smiled as I looked at her. If you keep talking, I'll strangle you. It's not funny. Amy stared at me silently for a few seconds before saying, When I met you for the first time today, I was honestly surprised at how different my impression of you was. What did my husband say about me? Did he call me a witch? Amy burst out laughing. He never said anything negative about you. I just assumed you weren't this nice. I wasn't going to be flattered by her compliment, but I was starting to think maybe Amy wasn't such a bad person. I, of course, don't like his mistress, but if I were a man, I might get swept away by her kindness, too. There will be a time when your genuinity is questioned. Huh? Her head-tilting gesture is also adorable. Even though I don't feel bad for my husband because he is of the devil, I can't help but feel sorry for this girl. 6 months have passed since I was told he only had a few months to live. My husband, who has a pale complexion, took another day off today. But when he saw my cheerful face when he came home from work, he sneered. How long do you think you'll live? I was wondering how he could say this to his wife, no matter how much his feelings for her have cooled. I remained calm and kept my composure. You and the old lady are relentless. Say what you want about me, but don't talk about your mother. My husband got mad and yelled. Don't worry, you don't have much time left on Earth anyway. So, before you die, let me tell you what I really think. I believe marrying you was the worst mistake of my life. Words he should have never said. My husband had finally gone too far. Is that a will? I asked, fuming. A will? Wait, you didn't make some strange will, did you? You made a will? It's been 6 months since I was told what the life expectancy was. What are you even talking about? Have you finally gone insane? I was furious and completely shocked. What? It's your life expectancy. What? My husband stiffened and kept a straight face for a moment, but then he scoffed. You're not making sense. You've lost it. You need to go to the hospital. Kevin walked into his study. He passed out in the house the next morning. I immediately called an ambulance, called my mother-in-law, and went to the hospital. When the exam was finished and my husband found out the truth, he blew up and yelled at me in front of the doctors and nurses. "Why didn't you tell me this? I warned you, it was 6 months ago. Don't lie to me, that was about you." My husband was taken aback when he remembered our conversation 6 months earlier. I didn't tell him who had been told about their life expectancy at the time. "You're the devil." "Please be quiet, this is a hospital." "You should stay out of it. You both are in on it." He pointed at the doctor and the nurse. It was a mess and my husband was going crazy. "Enough! If I stay here, I'll be killed." "You're talking too much." Shut up! I don't believe you." My husband escaped the hospital room, despite the nurse's efforts to stop him. I had no intention of stopping him. I went home after apologizing to the nurses and doctors on behalf of Kevin. My husband returned home a few days later, pale-faced. When I told Amy the truth, she told me that she had told him to leave me alone. I looked at Amy's expression and knew it might be true. I would have preferred her to have just told me he was leaving me, but Amy was married. It's not uncommon for strippers to lie about being single. Amy's husband had recently been released from prison. When Amy's husband discovered she was cheating on him, he choked her and she told him about my husband. "Help me! They're threatening to drown me alive!" "How can I save you from such a terrifying man?" "How can you be so calm when your husband is in danger?" How can he say that? "Should you go abroad?" "I don't have any money." I found out he had spent all of his savings and was planning to get by on the insurance money coming in. It's not a surprise that he blew so much money so fast. He always went on business trips. Or really, traveled with Amy and probably paid for everything. "Could you please give me some money?" "I don't have any." I dismissed him. "Please borrow it from Mom. She won't lend it to me if I ask. She's a stingy old lady." "Why don't you ask your boss?" "Oh no." My husband glared at me, startled and flustered like a cartoon character. "I told you, let me know ahead of time if you were coming over. Is it on purpose?" "They only gave you 6 months to live, and that was 6 months ago. You'll be gone soon, right?" My husband and I were both shocked at his mom's cold-blooded comment. "You'd say that to your own son? How many times have you said that to your mother?" My husband was unable to respond. "Kevin, please apologize to Sarah. Then we can discuss it." "This is my house. Get the hell out of here. I don't want to see your face." "Let's go, Sarah." "What?" "You've let me down. I'm cutting ties and will be living with my daughter." "Daughter?" Kevin is an only child. When I looked surprised to hear my mother-in-law had a secret child, she said, "Sarah is my daughter. Do you have a problem with that?" Wow. My husband rolled his eyes. I was about to cry, but I managed to keep it together. My husband and mother-in-law are blood. We wouldn't be family if I divorced my husband. But my mother-in-law still claims me as her daughter. She has shown me this since the day we got married. She loved me like I was her own daughter. Her love was genuine. My husband, who had lost his color, fixed his gaze on his mother. "What are you talking about? Your only son or your daughter-in-law? I don't have to tell you which one is more important." "Of course I would choose Sarah. I don't claim a child who cheats on his wife with no remorse." In disbelief of his mother's words, my husband walked into his study, silent. I quickly packed my things and moved in with my mother-in-law. Fortunately, I was working, and my mother-in-law had savings. As she advised, I divorced Kevin and cut him off. I wonder if he will be okay, even though he deserves it. Which will kill him first, the goons or sickness? But I'm really concerned about Amy. I'm not sure if that's a good thing. Marriage is a close relationship, and the most important part is love. If love fades, a marriage will end quickly. So, was this marriage a mistake? Well, I met my mother-in-law through it. We act like a real parent and daughter, and we live a happy life together. My parents were confused at first, but when I told them about the ordeal, they understood. I am content. Happiness is not something you can get from others. You have to find it yourself. Men swear to their fiancé's parents that they will make their daughter happy. I will do everything to make her happy. But I don't expect men to make me happy. We are the source of our own happiness. The possibilities are endless.